G'day and welcome to 91509 New South Wales Course in Owner Builder Compliance video tutorial. During this tutorial we'll consider what is owner builder work and identify what you can and cannot build under an owner builder permit. During this video tutorial you should have open Module 1, particularly pages 3 through 6. Owner builder work, as it states in the manual, includes any work including supervision and coordinating involved in the construction of or alteration, repair or addition to a dwelling which includes a house, terrace, townhouse, garage, swimming pool and certain other structures or improvements where the reasonable cost of the work including labour and materials exceeds $5,000 and which relates to a single dwelling or dual occupancy. G'day everybody, welcome to this video tutorial for owner builders. This is the first of a series of video tutorials that are going to assist you in going through the guide, working through your course material. It's a lot easier when you understand and have somebody actually explain things to you. Now of course we believe that as a result of these tutorials some questions are going to arise. There's no doubt that they will. The best way to handle that is for you guys to go onto the forum, ask us the questions by email. When we post the response, all the forum members will benefit from it. Okay, so where are we going to start? Firstly, we'd like to introduce this manual. It is the participant guide and it's the guide that's the mandatory text that has been developed by the New South Wales Department of Fair Trading as the courseware that is required for all owner builders undertaking 91509 NSW Course in Owner Builder Preparation. This is, of course, all 5 modules. Now, for all of our online students, you will have had the opportunity to download each module individually. It puts it into the module format and allows simpler handling and a smaller document, of course, while you're working through. First thing I want to have a look at is from Module 1. Now, we had a look and thought, what's the best way to do this? And we came up with looking at the Owner Builder section of the New South Wales Department of Fair Trading website, where it actually explains the responsibilities and the obligations of owner builders. So let's have a look at that. One of the questions it asks is, what is an owner builder? Now to answer that we need to look at Module 1, and it's a good idea if you can have pages 3 through to 6 open as we go through it. Now, we're going to break this down slide by slide and we're going to have a look at the requirements. It's only a fairly short section and it's on page 3 of 147 in Module 1. What the book says is, and these really are direct extracts or adaptations from the Owner Building Act. Owner builder work is any work including supervising and coordinating involved in the construction of or alteration, repair or addition to a dwelling which includes a house, a terrace, a townhouse, a garage, a swimming pool and certain other structures and improvements. Where the reasonable market cost of the work including labour and materials exceeds $5,000, which relates to a single dwelling or occupancy that requires development consent under Part 4 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, or is a complying development within the meaning of the Act and is done by an owner of the land or a person having a prescribed interest in the land, such as a long-term lease, upon which the land is, or the work is to be carried out. Now let's have a look at those individually and we'll discuss what each of them means. In this next section of the video tutorial, we'll consider a little more in depth the particular works that are included in owner builder works. We'll focus on some of the vagaries of houses, townhouses and dual occupancies. Alright, let's consider each of the subjects that we just looked at first up. So there are 3 main points. The first of which is owner builder work is any work including the supervision and coordination involved with the construction or alteration, repairs or additions to a dwelling, which means a house, a terrace, a townhouse, a garage, a swimming pool and certain other structures or improvements. So, the first important point there is including the supervision and coordination. So even if you don't intend on physically being on site, and working there with a hammer and a nail, and a lot of owner builders don't do that because really the process is all about managing and coordinating. That's where most owner builders are most successful. They need to coordinate, manage, supervise, schedule and program the works. So that encompasses being an owner builder. You don't have to be there with a hammer, a set square, a nail to be classified as an owner builder. So that's the first point there that's worth making. The second is it's involved with the construction of, so it can be starting right from basics, from ground level and building a brand new home, alterations, additions or improvements. Now, we get into a little bit of a grey area here because would painting be considered owner builder work? Not necessarily and probably not, because it's not structural. Most of the works would mean material structural change or changing the look and appearance of the house from an outside viewing to the public. So if you're actually going to physically do something that's going to alter the home or you're starting from scratch, then of course that is owner builder work. Now it says that it includes terrace, a house, a townhouse, a garage, a swimming pool and other certain structures. Now in general, let's just say that for an owner builder, works are building a new single residence, or in New South Wales you can actually build a duplex. You might do alterations to one of those, such as a duplex. It says townhouses, of course you can work on townhouses, but there will be things such as body corporate, the same as in some terraces, that will come into effect. So you need to be very, very mindful of talking this through with your certifier or your local council to work out exactly what you can and can't do where there might be joint or common titles or common services. You can build a swimming pool, you can build a shed on your land of course if it's not for commercial purposes. So you're not in the process or the purpose of being a builder, you're not a builder, you're an owner builder and you're working on your land to build yourself something that you intend to live in. That is the main, or use for yourself domestically. That is the main purpose and the main content around being an owner builder.
Now let's consider what is reasonable cost and the $5,000.
Moving on to part 2 of the requirements or the definition of what is owner builder work, it says where the reasonable market cost including labour and materials exceeds $5,000. What this means is that if you're going to do work that a builder would charge you $5,000 to do, so we have to discount your labour. We've got to say, okay, this is what it would cost if a builder did it, not I'm going to do it for $5,000 even though the builder would charge me $10,000. If it's over that amount that a builder would reasonably charge, it is classified as owner builder work. Now, for it to be a requirement to complete a course such as the one you're doing, those works must be in excess of $12,000 in value. And again, that is the reasonable market cost of what it would cost a builder to do the works or complete the works. So $5,000 you require an owner builder permit. Between $5,000 and $12,000 you still require the permit, but you do not require to complete this course. Over $12,000 of market value course, or market value of the works I should say, that requires an owner builder permit and for you to have completed a course, or this course, 91509 New South Wales, course in owner builder compliance.
Owner builder work is further defined by which relates to a single dwelling or dual occupancy, that requires the development consent under Part 4 of the Environmental and Planning Act 1979, or is a complying development within the meaning of the Act, and is done by an owner of the land or person with a prescribed interest in the land, such as a long-term lease.
Okay, the final part, or the third point, says which relates to a single dwelling or a dual occupancy. So as I said just before, really it's about building something that you're going to live in. Now in New South Wales you can do a duplex, they allow you that concession. Most other states they won't, but New South Wales, yes, duplexes are fine. So it can be a granny flat, it can be an addition to your own home, it can be a shed that you're going to use for private use. That's all okay under an owner builder permit. It then goes on to say that it requires development consent under Part 4 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, or that's a complying development. Now the important thing there with that is that a complying development really can be processed very, very simply through your local council and through your private or your private certifier. Now the private certifier might look at it and say, well yes, it fits within the general theme and the act of the local council and their regulations and requirements, almost like a covenant. So you're not going to exceed certain land areas, you have less than a certain volume or floor area for the home. The general facade is fitting with what they expect in your local area. So typical buildings, typical dwellings, particularly for residential construction, will normally come under the complying development. Where you don't, if you exceed gross floor areas or you exceed maximum land use, or you're up against parklands, or you want to build closer to boundaries, for example, then in most cases you'll need to either get a relaxation or they won't allow it. In a lot of cases where you are not under a complying development certificate or in a complying development type application, what you'll find is that it will be necessary for the development application to go to the general public for them to comment. So you may need to put a sign up on your site to say, this is what we propose to do, read about it here. If you have any protests, lodge them in this certain time. Now you need to talk through that with your certifier or your principal certifying authority. That's a term that's going to become pretty important to you throughout the course, PCA, and in some cases that will be your local council, or in other instances your private certifier. I hope that's answered some of the questions for you. So that's part one, or video one, of our first tutorial, and hopefully it answers the questions, what is owner builder work? Of course, we understand that some of this will raise many questions, or could possibly raise questions. Please go onto the forum, ask the questions, and we'll come back to you with answers as quickly as we can. Of course, going through the forum is the best way. We will answer your individual emails, but the forum allows the opportunity for everybody else to share in the knowledge. Hope you've enjoyed this short video tutorial. Remember that we're producing tutorials to cover all of the aspects of the course. This is the first. Hope you enjoyed it. Comments, feedbacks, love to hear it. Thanks very much and enjoy your owner building.